Welcome to Natural Habitat Adventures Daily Dose of Nature. Today's presentation, Monarchs and Mexico's Day of the Dead, is brought to you by NatHab Expedition Leader Melissa Silva. Melissa is a marine biologist who has been guiding nature adventures in Mexico since 2012 and recently joined NatHab's team in the Central Highlands to lead monarch butterfly migration expeditions. She focused part of her studies on nudibranch, nudibranch. You'll have to say that for me, Melissa. I keep twisting.
Nudibranchs.
Nudibranchs. Thank you so much.
And
I have a hard time with that one. Melissa is currently working on her master's thesis on seahorse mating behavior. Based in Puerto Vallarta, Melissa combines her marine biology expertise with broader naturalist knowledge to share wildlife conservation through nature encounters with travelers from around the world. And Melissa is just a wonderful person too, as you can tell. Melissa, great to see you. The show is yours. Take it away.
Thank you very much, Rob. Thank you everyone for being here. And well, let's see what this is about. Hope you all enjoy the presentation. As Rob already mentioned, I am working currently with this beautiful trip we have, Kingdom of the Monarchs, and I'm a very hyper fan of Day of the Dead. As you can see, I really like to have all the costumes there when we have the believe it or not, the Halloween trick or treat moment, asking for candies. And we also have like the same celebration, the same activity, but for Day of the Dead, Calaverita. We asked for Calaverita. It's the same. We asked for candies. So, well, I mean, I just like to do it for fun. I have my house all decorated. If we have time, I can show you that around. But what I wanted to do is to explain and share with you why we have this belief of the monarch butterfly is the link with Day of the Dead or with the deaths in general here in Mexico. So to start with this, Day of the Dead is something very popular nowadays. I'm pretty sure you saw either one of these two movies or at least the trailers of those. The Coco movie, that is pretty much like what happens or what we believe in Mexico that happens during the through the days in Day of the Dead celebration, November the 1st, November the 2nd. And in the 007 movie from this one, Spectre, they have these very famous scenes of a Mexican parade for Day of the Dead. I thought we didn't have like those type of parades like this one we saw in the movie, because we actually had that in, it was 2016 when we started with this big parade in Mexico City, in the central part of Mexico. But doing a little bit of research, I found out that there was a Russian filmmaker. Okay, his name was Sergei, and his last name started with E. You're not the only one with problems on pronouncing difficult words. The Rob Epstein or something like that. Well, this Russian filmmaker, Sergei, came a little bit after the revolution in Mexico, and he filmed a series of events in Mexico, a series of festivities, a wedding, a burial, and a parade in Day of the Dead is the celebration. And that was in 1927, 1930, more or less. So since the early 20th century, we did have parades that were related to the celebration of these days, of this Day of the Dead dates. But the difference is that nowadays, as many stuff, is very it's a lot of consumism. It sells a lot of things. So the costumes, the decorations, all these big I forgot the name. Well, the schools, we call them Catrinas, and and the comparsas. They are all, the costumes all dress up as deaths or specters. And back in the day, like those 150 years ago, more or less, it was all about religion. It was all about praying and about having like this communion with the soul of our deceased one. And well, I will dive down a little bit more on that, because all of this is a syncretism. So Mexico, being this country with a lot of influence from Spain, mostly because we were a viceroyalty, a colony from Spain for like 300 years, more or less. We have a lot of their beliefs melted with the pre-Hispanic beliefs, with all the beliefs from the native communities that were living in this area before the Spaniards arrived. So what we know nowadays, what we have as a tradition in Day of the Dead, is pretty much an invention from the politics and the cultural community in the post-revolutionary country, that is on the late 19th century and the early 20th century. A revolution was in 1910. It finished more or less 1920, 1930. So in that time, the ruler class wanted to have like a Mexican identity. They wanted to leave behind all the influence from France, for example, because we have a lot of influence in the last part of the 19th century. We had a lot of influence from France, the influence from Spain, all the influence from Europe. The people here in Mexico wanted, or at least the political or the ruler class wanted to leave it behind and have something that was individual, that was pure Mexican, just to put air quoting. So with that, we have the invention of the Day of the Dead as we have it nowadays, with the skulls, with the colors, with the Catrinas, as you see in these images. So we also have a lot of influence, as I mentioned. There were a lot of people, a lot of native peoples, indigenous peoples living in what is nowadays Mexico. This is just a sample of all the pueblos indígenas, we call them in Spanish. There are about 69 of them, and of course they had their own beliefs in each one of their areas, geographic areas. They have their own beliefs according to like the nature cycles in their place, the life cycles in their place. So Day of the Dead in Mexico is pretty much the same in the whole country, but of course it's different because all of this influence from the native people. I wanted to show you some very distinctive or very special traditions that they have. For example, in Michoacan state, the same state where the monarch butterfly arrives, it's a very big state. You can see the little map here on the corner. There is a lake area. We have Pátzcuaro, Siragüen, Janitzio, and then some other tiny ones. Uranden is one of those areas, one of those towns where they have still this mix of celebrations with, of course, the influence of the Catholic traditions and the pre-Hispanic tradition. The photo you are watching right now, it's from a dance that they perform in one of the lakes, and it's a demonstration of the typical way of fishing in those lakes in Michoacan. So what you see there are the fishing nets and all the canoes are around, kind of like performing this fishing dance. Then in Campeche state, in the peninsula, in the coast of the Gulf of Mexico and the peninsula of Yucatan, we have the state of Campeche, and there is a little community, a little bit on the north of the state, named Pomuch. In this community, they have this very, very different tradition. I don't want to say scary or bizarre, because for them is nothing of that. It's just a tradition that they have in which 4 years after the loved one passed, their loved one died, they go to the tomb, they go to the casket, they open it, they take the bones out, they clean it, and since that moment, every year they clean the bones and they place it in a new embroidery cloth. You can see here a little bit of the embroidery. Well, it can be painted. This is painted. But well, this is something I consider, well, my husband told me like he was a little bit scared of that, and he considered it to be like very, very powerful tradition. For me, I think it's something very beautiful, because being humans, we really need to see the transition of our loved ones. We saw them alive, we saw them hugging us or laughing, and then we need to give a closure to that part of their lives. And I consider to be in a certain way beautiful to be able to hold their bones still, to know that they are still in a material level with us, although this animistic entity, the soul, however, the energy, however you want to call it, is somewhere else, but still around us. But you can see that we are physical beings, so we need to see and touch stuff in order to give meaning to our environment. So for me, this is I think one of my most beautiful traditions in Mexico, and it's in my bucket list soon. In the Huasteca region, the Huasteca is a region that has several different states the parts of different states in one area. We have on the Gulf of Mexico, the north of Veracruz. Here you can see the map, the south of Tamaulipas, a little bit of this San Luis Potosí, Hidalgo, Puebla. So all of those states, these regions, it's called Huasteca. They have native or pre-Hispanic beliefs in common, but well, now they are divided because of the political division of the states. So in here, what they have a little bit more like characteristic is the Chantolo dance or the Chantolo celebration. And in here, there are this group of dancers or musicians called the comparsas. And what they do is they perform certain dances that traditionally their belief is that they are calling the souls to come and kind of like a medium stuff, like they can use their body to enjoy the party. So they wear the mask in order to deceive like the bad spirits. So only the spirits of the relative ones or the good spirits can come and identify who is who, and they will go and join them in the dance and in the festivity. More or less the idea behind the Chantolo dance. And then in Mexico City, well, we have a lot of different traditions, but nowadays, for example, and like currently this past week, we had the mega offering. This is, like the name says, it's an offering, it's an ofrenda, decoration in central Mexico, in the Zócalo area, in which we have all of these displays, all these huge huge, see, statues, right, Robert? I forgot the name, estatua. So we have all of these, but with the idea of having the representation of the deities from our pre-Hispanic people, from the legends, La Llorona and the Alebrijes, and all of these, that is, once again, the invention of this national identity. So all of that is represented here. What we see in the picture is the representation of a Xoloscuintle, and well, there's a whole completely different belief on dogs and the Xoloscuintle, and they are the guardians of your soul once you die. So I can talk about that a little bit more later, but this is pretty much what we have in this central area. So what we think of when we say Day of the Dead is pretty much like what you see on this collage. And as you already saw, that is pretty much only like on the central part of Mexico. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about the origins of the pre-Hispanic celebration in the central Mexico, of course, because it's a little bit different in other parts of the country. But in general, with this Mexican identity, we have this very widespread throughout the country. For the Nahuas, for the central Mexico the people, we have that they see the world in a duality. Everything has a dual part, life with death, dark with light, pretty much like in the rest of the world. All of this is associated to the natural cycles of life. You can see this very, very well right now. You have spring, summer, fall, winter, and then it all starts again. It's a cycle. The same when we have the harvest, for example, we have the flower, we have the seeds, the plant dies or goes dormant, but it seems like it dies. Then it goes buried in the ground, in the soil, and we have a rebirth. We have life again. We have the cycle is the completing. For the Nahuas, all this duality, all this cycle was tied to something called Teot. This Teot is, if you want to put it in a very Occidental Christian way, is God, is the energy that gives life to everything in nature. And for the Nahuas, this energy is located in all our body, in our joints mostly, and specifically three main areas of our body: on the head, on the crown of our head, on the heart, and in the liver. So the most important one was the energy or the soul located in the heart, that was called the Teyolia. The Teyolia is what we can say is the soul, is the spirit, is when we see a ghost, when we see this La Llorona in Mexico, the ghost of this weeping lady, that would be her Teyolia still in this level of existence. sorry. So when you die, only the Teyolia goes to one of the afterworlds. For the Mexicas from the Nahua cosmovision in central Mexico, and a little bit also in other indigenous cultures as well here in Mexico, this level, the terrestrial level, was just part of other levels, some of them going to what physically we have the sky, the heavens, and physically we have the underground, like the caves and the sinkholes in the Yucatan Peninsula, for example. So for the Mexicas, there were at least the four main afterwards were the Chichihualcuauco, Tonatiuhichan, Tlalocan, and Mictlan. These four afterworlds were the destiny of the souls according to how they died. So, for example, for the little babies, the babies that died without the name ceremony, they were to the first world, the Chichihualcuauco, that there was a tree with breasts, with turgent breasts. We call them chichis. And these breasts were feeding the babies. They were nursing the babies until they were ready to reborn again, to be reincarnated in the terrestrial level. Then let me tell you the Tlalocan first, for example. That one is when a people died in an accident related to the water or a disease related to the water. That is the place of Tlaloc, the god of rain. And they became the Tlalocans, the Tlaloches. They became these little souls, helpers of Tlaloc. They used to take the water to other areas in terrestrial level. And then the Mictlan, that is like the underworld, and what in the Catholic belief was translated as the hell or the underworld, the place where all dead people is going, only if they had like natural deaths. So I don't know if you have the idea here. Depending how you died is where your soul, your Teyolia goes. And I left the Tonatiuhichan to the last because this is the house of the sun, and here the souls of mothers that died in childbirth and the souls of warriors that died either in battle or as a sacrifice, if they were captured and then they were killed in a sacrifice way. They will go to the house of the sun and they will travel with the sun every day. The warriors will travel from sunrise to noon, and the mothers dead in birth, they travel from noon to the sunset. And after a few years, like also 4 years more or less, they will reincarnate in either butterflies or hummingbirds. They will decide. So just keep that in mind. The house of the suns, mothers, warriors, being reborn or reincarnated in either butterflies or hummingbirds. So with this, of course, we have the Catholic influence. Now I already show you a little bit of the pre-Hispanic cosmovision tradition. The pre-Hispanic influence is pretty much that they used to have a couple of main festivities related to the dead. These are very difficult words. Michaelwitontli and the way Michaelwit. Hope I pronounce it correctly. But they were called the minor festival for the dead and the major festival for the dead. Some specialized, some anthropologists and ethnographers, they say that these were just part of the same celebration, one made like or performed earlier during the year, and some others say that they were divided to according to the dead they wanted to honor. The minor festival for the kids and the major festival for the adults, or something like that. So, however, here is where we have now the link with these dates, with this time of the year. The pre-Hispanic celebrations took place somewhere between the late September and mid-November. See, that's fall, that's autumn, is the harvest celebrations. We have the corn ready to be harvested. We have here the traditional agriculture, the milpa, corn, squash, and beans. So pretty much they are like ready on the same time of the year, this time. And then from the Catholic influence, from the Catholic celebrations, we have November the 1st, All Saints Day, and November the 2nd, All Souls Day. Okay, so when the Spanish arrived here to Mexico, of course, we have all this mix of beliefs, and in order pretty much to what happened when the Christians arrived to these areas with the Vikings, with the Celtic beliefs, that they pretty much adapted the festivities that were already there into the festivities that they were celebrating in the Christian calendar. So with this mix, if you notice, we had from late September to mid-November, and then we had the major days for the Catholics on 1st and 2nd of November. So the traditional celebration now starts. Bueno, this is like the most, like the compact one, the abstract of all the celebration, because in some communities that have a heavy influence of the native tradition, they actually start on September 27th. That is, it's Saint, it's the Archangel Gabriel, or I think it's one of the archangels. So they start the celebration for the dead on that time, because supposedly this archangel opens or guards the gate for the dead ones. So they start very early in the year. For me and the people I know closer, we start like October 27, more or less. That is when we wait for our deceased pets, because in the pre-Hispanic traditions, all of the living beings have the teot, have the energy of life, as spirit, our soul. So, well, the pets or deceased pets will come on October 27. Then we have 28, 29 theory for the people that died in a terrible accident, very young, for people that doesn't have any relatives alive. So we just like offer them a little bit of our light to come to this level, to the terrestrial level, and so on. And then the strong dates, the important dates are October 21st, November 1st, and November the 2nd, because it's when we do have this tradition of welcoming our relatives, like our direct relatives, either our baby ones, the children, or our adult relatives that are deceased. So pretty much that's like the dates or the days that we celebrate the Day of the Dead festivities. And then something very characteristic, and that if you want to be part of this tradition, because this is something Mexicans have, that it's our tradition, but we can share it as long as you respect it and try to be as original as possible. One very important thing is the altar, or the offering, la ofrenda o el altar de muertos. The altar, I think, what I consider to be the most important is the use of colors. Colors are very important. This is not a mourning celebration, or this is not a sad celebration. This is a festivity, festive, happy celebration, because of course you are sad. Someone you love or your pets that you love, they died, and as I mentioned with the previous slide, they are not here with you, but you still remember them, you know. So it's this kind of like a bittersweet moment, but it's joyful because they were here. You are part of them. You live here because of them, in case of your relatives. So you need to celebrate. You need to be like happy because they were here, right? So, well, colors are important. Usually we have the yellow, the white colors. Those are like representing the light. We have purples and the reds. Purple, pink, red, they represent the sadness, the death, the mourning. And then we have any other color, just to add this sparkle of life all around the place. They need to have levels to represent the different levels of the cosmos, the earth, the underworld, the upper world, you name it, heaven, hell, land, as you prefer. So levels. The photos or drawings, we used to have drawings of our pets. Sometimes we just have the names of our beloved ones. Candles, food, the people that you're offering the altar to, they like, you can have those. Sometimes it's not necessary to have like real food, edible food. You can have representations of those foods, and pretty much is the same meaning. The sugar skulls, the marigolds, and other flowers. So pretty much like that's the idea of having the altar, a place, like a transition place for the souls to know that they are remembered, to know that they are welcome in that place, and well, just to join the party. And speaking of syncretism, we have another syncretism here in Mexico with the Halloween Eve. As I mentioned, we do go out to ask for candies on Halloween Eve, and we go out on November the 1st to ask for calaverita. So why not? It's different. Day of the Dead is not a Mexican Halloween. It's the origins are different. The construction or the foundation of these two celebrations are different. But since they are so close together and they have in common the harvest time, the fall time, well, it's like, why not? Let's go to one party and then let's keep going for the rest of the weekend. So I want to open a big parenthesis here very fast to know more about what I just said, like all the information on pre-Hispanic beliefs, what happened when we had this clash of religious beliefs. I recommend you any of these two movies and this magazine. I'm pretty sure you will find it in online because I have it here, the one printed, but it's very old. Yeah, it's from 12 years ago. So well, you can find that one online, and you will see more like what I'm showing you now. You can see more about the beliefs in the pre-Hispanic time in Mexico. A lot about the cosmovision, see, a lot about what happened during the viceroyalty, the colonial times, the origin of the delicious bread that we eat. So it's a very nice magazine. It costs, I think, like $5 or so, but it's a very high quality one. And then, well, this I can show you later, but this is just a sample of all the sources, all the bibliographic sources I consider to explain you everything I said before. And of course, we have another webinar that we presented like 2 years ago, I think, where I talked on detail about the Xoloscuintli dog and the marigold, the relationship with Day of the Dead, and a little bit of the nature stuff, nerd geek on this. Okay, so let's talk about the monarch butterflies. Why they have the association with the dead, with the souls of the dead ones, and what's going on with them. Do you remember I mentioned the House of the Sun, Tonatiuh? So the butterflies and the hummingbirds are associated to the ethereal world, to the souls, to the deities. They can be the messengers of the deities or deities themselves. And what links here all the reincarnation of souls. So specifically the butterflies, they were very important. I think I couldn't find any like source about that, but knowing that the pre-Hispanic people here, the native cultures still nowadays, they are very observant. They pay attention to nature, and they see what happens when the butterflies go to the flowers, what happened with that flowers, pollination, what happens to that flower afterwards. We have the fruit, and then we can have it and nourishes our body. So they see the importance of the butterflies in the nature world that is redundant. It's important for them. So they were actually deities, as Iztapapalot in the Chichimeca culture. And something very cool is that this actually is a goddess related to the war and the death, to the sacrifice, to the hunting. So as you can see, something is very contrasting to have a deity that is a butterfly associated with something so harsh as death or war, right? But well, they are tough. They are actually very territorial. So once again, I'm pretty sure the native people used to notice that. They noticed how territorial and how fearless the butterflies were. So they gave these characteristics to this deity. And then another very important butterfly is the Ascalafa odorata, or black witch butterfly. In Mexico, we call them Polilla bruja, which is the same witch moth. And it was associated to the Mictlan, to the dead, as the name says, Mictlan papalot, butterfly of the dead. But it's very diverse because in central Mexico, it was associated to the bad luck, to death, to like a bad omen. And in the Yucatan Peninsula, it is actually associated to the other side. It's associated to good news, to visits with joy, like people visiting you, bringing joy, and health, good health. So different beliefs. So specifically, the monarch butterfly. As you notice, the butterflies are important. Monarch butterfly arrives to Mexico in this time of the year. And for the communities in the central part of Mexico, in the Michoacan state and the state of Mexico, where we have the monarch sanctuaries nowadays, They used to call these communities are the Purépechas, Mazahuas, and Otomís. And they used to call this butterfly the harvester, la cosechadora. And well, just for you to know, the name in Purépecha is Columbrini paracata, and the name in Mazahua, I hope I can pronounce that correctly, is Shepche, like just Shepche, okay? But well, paracata, Columbrini, those are like the most common names we can hear in and see written in Michoacan. So this story actually starts many years ago. Let's go back in time. In the late Pleistocene, the monarch butterfly was distributed all over the north and center of Mexico and part of like mid-center of the US. It was not distributed all the way through Canada like now it is because we had the glaciers. Okay, we are 20,000 years ago from today. So as the weather was changing and the glaciers were receding, and we had all of these prairies, like the grass prairies that we had in the Midwest in the US, the butterfly found a very suitable area where they had the milkweed. The milkweed is the host plant for the butterfly. So they were just like following the milkweed. Oh, yeah, we had more milkweed here. I will settle here, blah, blah. But then, of course, we still had the cycles of the season. So with every winter, they had to come back a little bit to the south because there was no milkweed. It's too cold. So they came here. They hibernate, just air coating a little bit, and then they came back when they had the forces. So that's what we have nowadays. So for at least 20,000 years, the monarch butterflies have been coming and going as a species, of course, coming and going from Mexico to the southern part of Canada and the Midwest area of US. Okay, so let's go a little bit nerdy on this. Let's get into the monarch butterfly is distributed pretty much in all the Americas, from the north part of South America to this area of is that the only migratory population is in the North American area. We have actually two migratory populations separated for the Rocky Mountains, by the Rocky Mountains, as you can see here. Of course, we're going to focus on the eastern population because it's the one that travels all the way here to Mexico. Western population travels within the US only. It travels to California and then back all the way to like Oregon, Idaho. And yeah, I'm cheating a little bit. I have a map here with the US state's name. But so yeah, California, Nevada, Oregon, and a little bit of Washington, Idaho, and like the lower lands of Utah. Arizona has some of them. Actually, this is very cool. Well, just a quick parenthesis. Arizona, New Mexico is considered like a mixing pot because we have found, the researchers have found butterflies tag from either side of the Rockies in that area. That means butterflies tag on the east of the Rocky Mountains have been found in Arizona, and monarchs tagged on the west population, on the west side of the Rockies, have been found in the other side, like in New Mexico. I don't know if that makes sense. So, well, close parentheses, the eastern population migration. We're going to start like later on the year, okay, or early on the year, as you prefer. In spring, we're going to start in springtime. They already took off from Mexico. Forget about Mexico. They are arriving to the southern part of the US, Texas, maybe a little bit of Louisiana, and maybe just even less on Mississippi, but mostly Texas. Why? Because we have better weather, we have the sprouts from milkweeds, and we have some flowers, nectarine flowers, that they are needing to mate in this area. So I hope you like this image I asked Gemini to create, because pretty much the first generation of monarchs are Texan. So people, if you are watching from Texas, please, next spring, check what you can do back home to help the monarch butterflies, the mothers and fathers of the generation one that are coming. They will go from Mexico to this area to lay their eggs. They need milkweed and well, water sources as well, because traveling that distance is very tiring. Okay, so the next generations, we have the first generation that was born and raised in Texas. Then they start moving, of course, temperature is getting better, they have more food, they have a better weather in general. The general or the general life cycle of the monarch butterflies is about 1 month, from 4 to 6 weeks. As any insect, they rely on the temperature. So it depends how hot or how cold it is, the time that it will take for them to develop, like on the whole stage of from egg to adult, flying adult. So during this time of the year, during June, July, like May, June, July, more or less, they will be in this area that, if I'm a little bit correct, it would be Oklahoma, like Kansas, Nebraska, Missouri, Tennessee, Kentucky, the Carolinas, Alabama, like Illinois, more or less, not yet, but yes. So, well, you know what I'm saying. Like, this central part of the US is very important for the generation 2 and 3, more or less. That is when they are still expanding through North America. Then generation 3, 4, more or less, they will be already in the whole area of the US and southern part of Canada. This is the summertime is like the very best for them. A lot of milkweed for the caterpillars, a lot of flowers for the adults, flying adults. And then what have after that? We have fall. We start having the late summer, September, October, more or less. We have generation 4, 5, and this is the super generation. This is the migratory generation that will come at once to central Mexico, to the forest here in Mexico. Why we say 4 or 5 generations? Because, well, once again, we can have 4 generations on the northernmost distribution area, and we can have 5 generations on the central southern part of this distribution. I don't know if that makes sense for you, but it all depends, once again, on the temperature, the weather conditions in general, humidity, temperature, the resources that they need, such as flowers for nectar for the flying adults, and of course, and more important, the milkweed for the eggs and caterpillars. Okay, so those are the factors that will affect how many generations we're going to have in each one of these regions on the North American areas. A little bit more dynamic, just what I said, but with movement. Okay, so we have the children, the first generation from those that were here in Mexico, the grandchildren from those that hibernated in Mexico, great blah, 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 until they reach the northernmost distribution of milkweed, because they are following the milkweed, and then they come all at once when it's a lack of food and a little bit colder. So this is when we have the migratory population. This is called the Methuselah population, super generation. See, those are the names: migratory population, Methuselah generation, okay, superpopulation. They are different. They express different phenotype. They have the same genetic material, but because of some triggers in the environment, they tend to grow a little bit larger, bigger, and heavier. So they live longer because they need to travel all the way down to central Mexico and then back to southern US. They get sexually immature, and that makes them to be more social. And we have them all at once here. This is something very cool. Well, besides the the image, what they do is something called directional flight. picture right now a garden with some butterflies, and you see them fluttering all around. But monarch butterflies, when they are traveling, they have something called directional flight. You can clearly see, I have seen that when they are starting moving north, you can really see that they have one goal in mind, one direction in mind, and they are flying almost like in a straight line to that place. So it's very cool to see that directional flight, and that's what you see when they start their fall migration. When they start coming south, you can clearly see that they are coming to the south, pretty much like this. No, they start moving before winter comes. They start moving south, and then there is like a funnel area here in the Gulf of Mexico, Alabama, Mississippi, all this area, Louisiana, and they all come together to Texas, and then they come to Mexico through Coahuila, Tamaulipas, all this area, until they come here to the overwintering sites. See? In this overwintering sites, actually, we have another webinar about that if you want to check it later, specifically on the sanctuaries. But these are pretty much in the highlands of central Mexico. It's very curious that they are associated to volcanic areas. So all of these that you see on the right image on this slide, this one with all the Iztaccíhuatl, Popocatépetl volcanoes, all of these areas where we find the Oyamel forest, but only on this place that is shared between the Michoacan state and the state of Mexico is where we have the main colonies of monarch butterflies. We also have some other colonies outside, as you can see in the image here, are some tiny butterflies outside the area, the main area, but the same, they are associated to high altitude environments and the Oyamel area. Ooh, and well, let me show you some websites that you can check after. This is also extra resources for you. Monarch Joint Venture is a very well area of resources because it actually has a lot of other resources. It has Correo Real, Journey North, the Monarch Watch program, Monarch Monitoring program, and so others. You see? So from here, what I wanted to show you is Journey North. Journey North has a very cool website, a very cool application here for all the information. That is the map for you to track where the monarch butterfly is. This is called the peak migration, as you can see here, peak, P-E-I-K, digo, A. I forgot how to spell the letters, but well, check all of this. So you can actually see where they saw the monarchs, bueno, through the months. Okay, so here Texas, you can click on it and check where they have been. Some of them have photos. They are roosting on the area, and then right now we have them somewhere here. They are coming. They actually come late. They are coming late on the season. They should be here today. They should have been here 2 days ago. But what I read here is that there were a little bit higher temperatures than usual in Texas area, in this southern part of Texas, and we had them like fully coming to Mexico, like October 27, more or less. See, these ones that you can come later to this website. These can be either some that were here like very early on time to air quoting, or we have local population that sometimes can be mistaken for migratory population. Okay, but well, you can go online, check those data. Then Correo Real is the main organization in Mexico that is working with this monarch butterfly conservation and the tracking of the monarch butterfly here in the country. And on their website, as you can see, on their website, we have all the information of the people that have seen them in Mexico. Okay, so you can track them also And here I wanted to show you that the latest, they are less than 100 kilometers from the sanctuary on October 26th. So they should be arriving to the sanctuaries today, tomorrow, not no later than tomorrow. Okay. And well, this is another Facebook page that I really like, Butterfly Lady. It has very good information supported by all the websites that I already show you. And well, you can find a lot of different info here related to butterflies and pollinators. And I wanted to mention our website, not have website on the travel resources, because here is where you can find the Daily Dose of Nature webinars, but also you can find tips, resources to plan your trip, for the photography tips, and in some of those areas you have a specific monarch butterfly content in here. Okay, we're almost wrapping up this. Thank you for coming. Any questions?
Thank you, Melissa. So if there are any questions, please feel free to submit them via the question field in your control panel. Just go ahead to the upper right-hand corner, click on those three lines. You can see the question field there and go ahead and submit them there. So Melissa, how would I be able to get reincarnated as a monarch or a hummingbird? Is there any special requirements for that?
Well, I think that in these modern days, only I think the only requirement is to be a good person. You don't need to be a warrior dying in battle or a mother dying in childbirth. Of course, they have a free pass to do so, but pretty much is just be a good person. There was a very deep connection of nature respect to be reincarnated in any form. So the ancient people from central Mexico believe that you need to treat well, to treat with respect all life forms in order to be in a good place on the afterlife. So I'm pretty sure if we are just good humans with other humans and with nature, we can reincarnate as monarch butterflies and hummingbirds.
It would be an amazing way to experience the migration, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Can you repeat the name of the organization with the website, Correo Real, or?
Es Correo Real. Yeah, is right here. The one when I found like all the websites at once is Monarch Joint Venture, and there we find Correo Real, Journey North, Monarch Watch, that are like the ones that are more like bigger than the others. Southwest Monarch Study, Monarch, all of this. So I would go to Monarch Joint Venture, and from there I will go to any of the other resources.
Gotcha. Thank you. Are there any other animals that migrate with the butterflies? Do they have natural predators that go along with them?
Predators traveling at the same time, no. Other animals moving at the same time with them, yes. For example, a lot of birds of prey, a lot of hummingbirds, water birds, a lot of those are traveling south at the same time as the monarch butterflies, not on the same paths, because most of the birds can travel like through the Gulf of Mexico, above the Gulf of Mexico. Monarch butterflies don't tolerate traveling in humid areas, in high humid areas. So yeah, it would be like some birds, the hummingbirds that travel also, some of them from Canada to Mexico. And they have predators pretty much like all over the way, from the very beginning of their lives as eggs to all the way down here to Mexico. There are some predators here as well in the area, but traveling with them only, not with them, but at the same time as they are doing it.
Gotcha. Thank you. And so if I wanted to come see these amazing butterflies, so these trips start right around now, I'm guessing?
Yes. Yeah, we have the first trips running in December. but we have some spots still for January, February, and March. December is closed already, sold out. So yeah, check. I'm pretty sure you will mention it, but go to you can call these numbers. You can go online to the where is it? No. To nathab.com, and here you will find trips and stuff. It's in Mexico and Central America. Right there is where you will see the dates that are available still now.
Great. Thank you for pointing that out, Melissa. Well, that's just about all the time we're going to have for questions today, unfortunately. So I'd like to throw it back to you for any closing comments you may have for us.
Yeah, well, I hope you enjoyed this presentation. It was very, as I told you, this is like my favorite celebration of all the Mexican festivities. And I was reading through all the stuff I read. There's this phrase, this is not the end, it's just the cycle of nature. Okay, so, well, don't be sad. I mean, oh, no, be sad. Yeah, it's okay to be sad. But just later remember with happiness what happened, and we all go into the same place. So later, sooner than later, we'll see our beloved ones. Thank you.
Melissa, thank you for those words of wisdom and for this amazing presentation. We appreciate you taking the time for us today. And I'd also like to thank everyone who joined us today. So if you are interested in information on how you can travel with NatHab to see these amazing monarch butterflies, please give us a call at 800-543-8917, or you can send us an email at info@nathab.com. Our adventure specialists are happy to help you out. Join us tomorrow for our next daily dose of nature. You can check out this week's lineup, including registration links, on our website at nathab.com/webinars. We did record today's presentation, and we will have the replay available on our website soon. With that, I will conclude the webinar. So long, everybody. We'll see you next time.